welcome to the Swift Half, your weekly session of chat from the UK OCR and adventure running scene. Each week, pub landlord Alan and our favourite regular Ian discuss races, runners and anything else that comes to mind. So pull up a pew, pour yourself a drink and join us for the Swift Half.
You're listening to the 41st most popular podcast for listeners who think that Taylor Swift is an express garment alteration service.
Ian, my friend, welcome. How are you?
I'm great, Alan. Happy New... Oh, wait, we did that already.
Last year, that's old hat, mate. It's no more. Can you say it no more? I actually had someone say it to me at work today because I'd not seen them since we got back, and I was like, "You can't say it now. It's too long." But they still said it to me and about 10 other people, which is not good.
They said it to you on the 10th of January. That is ridiculous.
I know. At the 7th, it's got to end. The 7th, 7 days. You got 7 days to say it. After that, stop it, people. I don't want to know if it's a good year or not. It's just the year.
Speaking of which, have you took your Christmas tree down yet?
Yeah. Oh, mate, I took my Christmas tree down. We bought some boxes off Amazon, some just cardboard boxes, just to put all his trimmings and trees in and put them in loft because we've got a really nice loft, all boarded out, all thing. So it's a really nice loft. My neighbour comes round last night and says to me, "Alan, can you come and help me put my Christmas trees trimmings in my loft?" He's an old bloke, yeah, him and his wife. Well, I say old, they're retired, you know what I mean? So they're that old. They've only just probably retired. So I said, "Yeah, of course I can come round, Keith. I'll help you put your trimmings up in loft and that." And they're put them in boxes. So I was thinking, like I said, but I'm all in boxes already. So I were expecting, cardboard boxes like I've put my stuff in. Oh, no. He's got special Christmas boxes, Ian. Bright red, and all the baubles go in separate compartments, and his tree goes in a special... Oh, mate, it were amazing. He got about 20 of these red boxes to lift up. I said boxes. They're like a cloth material. Super posh. I'm like, ooh.
Don't be scared of putting that up in my loft.
Yeah. Oh, his loft is immaculate as well. I thought my loft were good, lighting, boarded out, everything. Oh no, his is like, well, I mean, they've had the house all done out. So where my next door neighbours, they live in a bungalow. They've got the mum, and telling people about my neighbours here. They've got the mum who was come and live with them, and they sold their house, so they've had to make their bungalow slightly bigger to accommodate mum because she's not very well. So they've had a whole new kitchen put in. And have you ever heard of something called, I want to hope I get this right, Quaker sinks?
I haven't. I suspect that Kieran McAvoy probably owns one.
Okay. So a Quaker sink, it's actually not that so much the sink, it's more the tap mechanism. And you press one button and it instantly gives you 100-degree boiling water. Another button gives you sparkling water. Another button gives you cold mineral water. Another button gives you tap water. He's had one of these installed, but not on his sink, in a separate little sink, just for his coffee bar, because he's had a coffee bar built. I mean, yeah.
That's probably sensible, because if you have it just on your regular sink, the chances of like a nephew or niece or someone else who's young hitting the boiling water, putting their hands under it, and then you're stuck in A&E for 50 hours.
True, but I think £1,000 for a tap's a little expensive. You're just going to make cups of coffee with it in. You can get a kettle for much less.
That's true, but in America, they don't use kettles, so it's perfect if you're in America. I know you're not. I know you're in Barnsley, but even so... Actually, while we're talking about neighbours, they're never going to hear it, but can I give a special shout-out to my dad's and stepmom's neighbours?
Of course you can.
It was my stepmom's birthday at the start of the week. I'm not going to tell you how old she is because she'd beat me up, but anyway, it was her birthday. And we've had this horrendous weather, as we know. It's still freezing. It's still icy, depending where you are in the country. And they knew it was her birthday, thanks to Facebook. Isn't Facebook wonderful?
Amazing for that.
Knew it was her birthday and also knew that they're not too great on the feet. They're okay on the feet, but in ice, it's not a good idea. It's Bambi on ice situation. So they sent a text to him and said, if you want to go down into a town for like a meal later, we'll happily pick you up and drive you down and then pick you up after as well.
Oh, that's so sweet.
It is. And what's more, they said, and if you didn't feel like it, well, actually, my stepmom said, no, it's okay. It's a little bit too cold. She said, well, in that case, if you want a takeaway from down the road, we'll happily drive and pick it up for you.
Oh, mate, that's amazing to have neighbours like
It really is, isn't it? And yeah, I really am upset. My neighbours never offer to go and pick me up a takeaway.
that. Neither do mine, actually.
But no, I just thought it was really sweet. Like I say, they'll never listen to this, but it's a timely reminder. It's nice to be nice.
It is. I've got to admit, on our street, both me and my next door neighbours, twice going left and once going right, we've all cleared the pavement where we all live. So it's nice to get on the pavement where we all live now.
Oh, you guys are lovely. I just threw boiling water on it next door to me so to make it super slippy.
I was telling Paula about that the other day because she was going to put hot water on a windscreen, and I said, "No, you can't." I don't know how you clear your windscreen in this weather, but what I do is I actually put boiling water into, like a sandwich bag. I put boiling water in a sandwich bag and then rub the sandwich bag over the windscreen, so it naturally defrosts it. Whereas she was going to just pour not boiling water, but hot water on the screen. I went, no, because that makes it even worse. So a tip there for our listeners.
Yeah, I probably add to our carbon footprint because I've got gates which I can lock. I just turn the engine on and get on with my day for 10, 15 minutes.
Just turn the car on, leave it running for 20 minutes before I go out. I like that one.
It's lovely.
Oh, we're digressing before we even started. What are you drinking tonight anyway? What miraculous drink have we got tonight?
We've actually got a Diet Coke tonight, but it's a Diet Coke, no caffeine.
Ooh, nice. So, while we're on touch of caffeine, I have started using caffeine bullets on every run I'm doing now that's around about 10 miles or more. So every run I do, I'm taking caffeine bullets purely because I want to get my system used to taking that much caffeine over longer runs. So I've got a 50K coming up in the end of January, and then I've got winter nuts followed by WTM and nuclear oblivion and things like that. So I'm taking caffeine bullets on much more often now to get used to my runs. And the taste, I'm not tasting. You know, I said when I first got them, I had an aftertaste. That's gone now. I'm just naturally used to it.
It's good. So yeah, your body's just used to the taste now, and I believe, Alan, that you're saving money buying them by using code UKOCR.
I certainly am using code UKOCR. UKOCR without a doubt. I've actually just picked some up this week. They've come, so I've gone for the chocolate orange flavour this week. So I've got some more chocolate orange flavour. I think I must have done maybe 3 bags of them now, but yeah, code UKOCR saves me money. Anyone out there wants to use code UKOCR?
And I really, really hope they do a non-caffeine version soon. They keep teasing this, I know they're testing it, but I want to get in on the fun too, because they were talking about doing an electrolyte version, weren't they?
Yeah, I really want to, if they do something like that, I really want to test them because like I said, I was skeptical with these to start with. But when I did the 17 miler on New Year's Day, I took 0 nutrition and I only used the 2 pit stops for water. And the rest of the time I did 5 caffeine bullets throughout the 17 miles, 3 hours, 5 caffeine bullets, and didn't feel no issues. I had no cramps afterwards, which sometimes I do normally. I'm taking salts, electrolyte salts. So I don't know what they're working for me. So yeah, I'm going to stick with them.
And they work for you. They may not work for everyone, as we often say, but there's nothing wrong with just trying a few out. But moving away from our partners, Alan, what are you drinking?
I've sorry, another partner, one we should have had, and they've never come back to us. Brewdog. I'm back on Brewdog Hazy Jane. The alcoholic version, I've still got 2 cans left. So this will be the last of my alcoholic version. Then I'll be back onto the non-alcoholic things. Most people give up drink for January. I seem to have taken to drink in January.
Yeah, that's odd. When I thought about it, I think I've drank more alcohol in January than I did in October, November, and December because I was finishing off those Jack Daniels honey the other day, which took me to about 5 alcoholic drinks, and I'm not sure I drank that many in the 3 months preceding prior to Christmas.
It's not always the case, isn't it? We don't drink and everyone buys us drink for Christmas and we end up drinking it. Talking about that, I know you've put one of the notes on here about going to the gym today. What was it like going to the gym? Because I haven't gone to the gym this month, purely because it's January.
Well, on Monday, it was ridiculously busy. I have two gyms, as we know, because it actually works out cheaper than going to a big commercial gym. It's fun. And on one of them, I get a very substantial discount because I'm there with Jen. So I've got one near to work because I don't know about you, Alan, but if I get home before I go to the gym, then I will not go to the gym, nor will I likely do any exercise. I may occasionally go for a run, but if I get home, the couch monster gets me.
Completely get that. Yeah, me too.
So I've got this one near to work so that because the traffic is horrendous for me, I can just nip in, go there, let the traffic die down, and actually do my workout. And it's a 24-hour one, which also means I can do it early on a Thursday or Friday sometimes. You know, when we're not recording early on Friday, I can pop in.
Yeah.
So went into this 24-hour one on Monday, and it was absolutely rampacked. I couldn't get anything done for like 45 minutes until it quieted down and a treadmill came free. And then this past Wednesday, Alan, I went in and okay, this is gonna sound gatekeeping. I didn't mind Monday waiting for a treadmill. I'll tell you why in a second. I minded today because there's 8 treadmills in this gym, and you can probably fill in the blanks. Do you want to fill in the blanks of why I was angry?
Because there were 8 people using them to walk on.
6 out of 8 were people there walking, reading things on the phone.
Oh, that's so. I knew you were going to say that because that is so annoying. That there's nothing worse than someone on a treadmill walking, reading things. But then again, maybe it's icy outside, so I didn't go for a run this week either. So through midweek, I haven't been for a run purely because of the ice. I don't want to do any damage. So I've done lots of walking outside, but it is slippy. Do you think that might have put them off, or do you just think it's generally January gym month?
A combination. On Wednesday, it was icy outside of all. Greater Manchester councils have done okay when it comes to getting grit down. Fair play to them, a lot better than the Cheshire ones. I'll tell you that for free. But they've done an okay job. But I think what was frustrating me was the fact that they were all walking, and unlike on Monday when every piece of equipment was being used, all the other cardio equipment, including those things where you can just sit down, you know, the sit down bike things where you can just pedal your legs.
Yeah.
All of them were completely empty. So if you just want to be doing something, go and do that. No one uses them except on Monday. Again, I know I'm going to come off as a gatekeeper because ultimately they pay the same as I do. They can happily use the equipment. But when you're tying up a treadmill for an hour 30, because the one I eventually got on, yeah, I checked their thing, an hour 30 they were on, Alan.
Just walking.
Just walking.
Yeah, it's not. I get where you're coming from, and I do get that they paid the same fees as you. But it's like, to me, if you're going to walk, go outside and walk. Even if it's slippery, just don't walk as far. Go on an hour and a half walking outside is going to be the same as an hour and a half walking on the treadmill. And it's probably more beneficial outside because you're using more muscles to keep your balance.
Exactly. And it wasn't like they put any kind of elevation on it. Again, I do not mind the people who walk, but ramp up the elevation all the way up. So it is a hard slog. But yeah, this was obvious that they were just there because they think they need to go to the gym.
Because it's January and it's everyone, all of our listeners, because all of our listeners are athletes, every one of them will be saying exactly the same thing this month and the first week in February. When it comes to Valentine's Day, 14th of February, everything stops, So 14th of February, I always tell them, I said, that's when people who go to the gym get the gym back. It's a natural thing. And you go into every shop and I was in, we were looking for something for the hallway to hang coats and put boots in at this moment in time. So we went to a shop at the weekend to have a look around the shops and that. And we ended up going into, was it B&M stores, which is like I don't know if you get them up where you are, but it's a shop that virtually sells everything. And we went in there for something. and they've got 3 or 4 shelves with seasonal products signed above it, and everything was like keep fit because it's seasonal. At this moment in time, it is seasonal. They had it spot on because it's seasonal for 1 month only. Get your sports equipment.
Well, I'm thinking, Alan, I might pop to a pub because I bet you they're empty. I can go in the pub and lift weights.
You probably, yeah. You probably could. You probably could. So just talking about gym equipment, though, I saw Fabletics this week. I've got an amazing deal on. If you sign up for something, you can get a pair of shorts and a top for £24, or well, 2 items off their thing for £24 plus £4 delivery. So I think it comes in at £28. If you sign up for it delivered every month, so you get a different colour shirt, different colour top every month. I thought that was quite a good deal because it's actually quite decent clothing. So I haven't signed up for it yet, but I'm really contemplating it. I just don't know. I've got enough kit anyway, haven't I? I don't really need any more.
You have, and I was going to say every race gives you a t-shirt, but that's no longer correct, to be fair. And I do wonder, Alan, do you reckon the reason so many people in High Rocks don't wear a shirt is that you don't get a race t-shirt for doing a High Rocks?
That's actually a very good point because yeah. When you first started OCR, how many shirts did you have? I mean, I used to have. So I actually went all through 2014. I did over 50 races that year. So I had 50, and I had 50 shirts. You know what I mean? I think like now, gosh, why would I want 50 shirts?
I'd probably still have 50 shirts because they've become gym shirts. I've gone to the gym as well today before we hit record. Joys of a 24-hour gym, Alan. And yeah, I am sitting here in a Tough Mudder shirt because they're quite nice shirts because they're very forgiving when you haven't been going to a gym before Christmas.
It's all right. When you first started, though, you thought when they gave you a shirt and it said anti-wicking shirt, you thought, oh, God, they'd give me like super high quality shirt here. And it's not until you actually realize when you start running properly or exercising proper that they're not really high quality shirts. They're fairly basic shirts. You know, they do what they do. They wick moisture away from your body, but they're pretty generic shirts, aren't they?
They are. And the bad thing about the anti-wicking is unless you wash them immediately, they can start to smell and you have to get rid of them.
That's a very, very good point. That's a very good point.
Alan, while we're talking about shirts, have you noticed people, not in OCR because it would be stupid, but people when they're running have started wearing cotton shirts again?
I'm one of them, Ian. Whoops.
Can you explain it?
So I bought some Nike ones. So I've got about 3 Nike trail shirts. So they're designed for trail. And when they came, they are the cotton. They basically are cotton. But they do the same thing as the craft ones or is it UWA ones or whatever. They do take the moisture away from your body. But for me, I just think they're more comfortable. I get no chafing. So, if I'm going for a good long run, if I wore a Tough Mudder shirt, yeah, by Craft, and I went for a 20-mile run, I would end up with chafing. I would have to put some Vaseline on my nipples to stop the chafing and that. Always did on long runs. I can wear the Nike ones and the cotton ones, and I can just run in fact, I've done 12-hour ultras in them, and they've been absolutely fine. Yet they do, when they get wet, they stay a little bit wet, but it doesn't feel next to your body. It's only when you actually stop and then go and take it off that you can see how much sweat they've soaked up, if you like. It just feels more comfortable to me.
I do wonder if that is the next fitness fad, is back to the future when it comes to fitness wear. So wearing cotton shirts, wearing just basic trainers, not wearing a Garmin, just timing yourself on a stopwatch.
Well, if you're in India, you can't wear a Garmin or you can't use a Garmin device.
That's very true and lovely segue. I think you can wear a watch, but do you want to explain to a listener why?
I certainly can. So this was a Canadian runner. I'm just going to get the details up because I don't want to get nothing wrong here. So in December, Tina Lewis was on a 2-month extended trip to India And she ran into a little bit of trouble. So she was backpacking all the way across, and she had got a Garmin GPS device. A lot of hikers use them, tell them where you can go and things like that. Not not a massive one, not a like hundreds of thousands of pounds one. Well, if you can get one that much, but not thousands of pounds one. Just a general standard Garmin Mini Reach. And yeah, she's been in trouble because you can't use them in India. You're not allowed to use them. So this is not good.
No, she was threatened with arrest, wasn't she? She got pulled out of the airport lineup and was questioned.
Yeah, security officers approached her, asked her some questions. There were armed guards that took her in and out of the line. She's had to spend £2,000 on legal fees and bail. You know, I mean, she spent £2,000 on legal fees and bail, although the fine she actually got was only $11, which is like it doesn't make sense. But yeah, just be careful. I mean, I never knew this. I don't know why in terms of what they're saying is that it's just Indian law. You've got to have a license before you open a personal satellite communication system, and that's what this is. So they call it a personal satellite communication device, but surely your watch on your hand is exactly the same. If you've got a Garmin, it can tell you where you are because it uses satellite and it's a personal device. I mean, it doesn't say this. We're talking about something a bit more special, but I reckon you've got to be careful if you've got a Garmin watch on.
I would be minded to agree, and it's a nice reminder of a few things. First, it's probably worth making listeners aware that this isn't just some random law that India have just dreamt up. There is a purpose behind it, and that is that rebel forces in India were using not Garmin's, but they were using personal devices to basically plan attacks. So against that background, you can kind of understand it. Okay, yeah, that's fine. And also, Garmin do say on their website that you do need to check for certain countries, including India, including North Korea, I believe, and a few others, that you can use it before actually using it. However, it's a timely reminder to us because when it comes to that little list I just mentioned, North Korea instantly think, yeah, why would I? Well, why would I visit? But of course, they'll be extra cautious about things like this. India, of course, we often think of as a first world country. We
Yeah.
we do because we have grown up in the UK. It was part of the British Empire, so in our mind, it's Western. It's easy to forget that just because you may consider somewhere to be Western, it doesn't always follow that it follows Western cultures. And that applies anywhere in the world. Even in places like America, there are certain things that probably strike you as backwards. And it's a timely reminder when you go on holiday, always do your research.
Too right. I mean, there's two countries that surprised me on it. India, yeah, that might have surprised me. But China and Russia, they're not third world countries. These are like powerhousing countries. These are major players in the world, and I wouldn't have expected from China and Russia. But there you go. And Thailand is a very popular country where people go to. So I think just be careful. I think to me, and I haven't read this on here, but this is my own opinion. I'm giving my opinion. If you're going to use your watch, I think you'd be fine taking a watch over. But if you're using the maps on it to track a run or something like that, I reckon that's where you're probably going to get in trouble because your watch has got to communicate with satellites to tell you where you actually are at any given moment in time.
Yeah, I don't confess that I know this particular device inside and out, but I do wonder whether it's something that can do effectively two-way communication, and that's a big issue, if that makes sense. So she can use it. If I'm recalling it correctly, she was kind of using it to let people back home know where she was. And
is it one of them that travels that like tracks you? So like when I do a lot of the ultra runs that I do and they have a tracker on it, it sounds like it was something like that. But that's what your watch can do. If you set that up to Strava, you can do that on a live Strava feed.
I guess you can. So Casio watches all round if you want to do an ultra run anywhere but the United Kingdom.
It's all right. Talking about ultra
Alan,
runs.
could you imagine that? Before we move on to ultra runs, can you imagine being pulled out of a lineup because you've got a Casio watch, and them saying, excuse me, sir, is that a smart watch? It's like, no, but watch this. If I type in 5138008 and then turn it the other way, magic happens.
I was going to say, oh, them Casios with calculator on. Yeah, that was what we always had as kids, when you type in, 5180008 upside down. Yes, there we go.
Right, let's move on while the listener ponders that. Let's go to the ultra running news that you have, Alan. The other ultra running news.
Well, this weekend is the ultimate ultra, and I'm not talking about Farmyard Jam this time. I'm talking about the Winter Spine. Is out this weekend. Starts at 8:00 on Sunday morning. So I will be there tracking it on the dot, watching. Massive list of athletes going up there again. Not going to go into them all, but one of the things that did interest me was the kit list, Ian.
Okay, what's on the kit list that caught your attention?
So you've got a backpack, you've got your compass, no problems on there. You've got your maps. You've got to carry a knife. So that was the first thing that caught my eyes. You've got to carry a single-bladed knife with a 3 centimetre or longer blade for cutting open things.
Okay. Can I just check? This starts in Edale.
This starts in Edale, which is Sheffield.
It then heads up near my neck of woods. I'm trying to think, what are you using the knife for?
Well, it does stuff for opening things like food packets and stuff like that. But I'm thinking, I've never seen a race that as kit that says you've got to carry a knife. That is like, well, it baffled me when I saw it.
Alan, can you imagine you go to a kit check and you pull out your knife and then some guy on the other side of the desk with an Australian accent says, "You call that a knife? This is a knife."
The old crocodile Dundee, like that. So I think that's for that. I just didn't get a knife, but anyway, you've got to carry a knife. You've got to carry 2 pair of gloves, not 1, 2. A spare socks, I get that a little bit. But then ice spikes. You've got to carry ice spikes.
So how cold do we reckon it's going to get?
Well, I mean, it's forecasting -4 and -5 in the night times. So it is going to be icy up there. They have had snow. I know John Kelly's put down that he's really looking forward to running in the snow and that. But it's crazy. A medical kit, they've got to carry a foil blanket. So they've got to actually carry this time a full blanket, not a foil sheet. The sheets that we get, that's no good. They've got to get a foil blanket this time, a full-size foil blanket. Probably a little bit too much. They've got to carry some Piriton-branded chlorophenamine, which is strange. Leporamide, 4 of them, whatever they are. I don't know what those are. Blister packs. It says any regular personal medication in original packaging or labelled clearly, and please ensure you have added these medications to your medical form. So you've got to account for them all. They've got to carry a sleeping bag. I never knew that, which was strange. But then the one that gets me, so as well as a knife, they've got to carry a gas cooking stove.
Is this the Spine race, or has Jordi Senna bought it and now this is Spartan Spine? Because it really does sound like, let's just add a ruck to it and it will suddenly be even better. They've got to carry a stove.
Right, I mean, this is just some of the things. I mean, there's 31 items on there, including a toilet kit. You've got to have a toilet kit as well, which includes a small shovel or trowel to dig a hole, several pool bags, and tissues and things like that. But I saw John Kelly's post on Facebook and he says, I've actually lightened my load by 3.3 kilogram this year. And I was thinking, well, when I do an ultra, my load is only 5 kilograms anyway. So I'm thinking, what have you got to carry? So that's why I researched it. And it's like, seriously, and you're carrying everything but the kitchen sink. You're carrying the cooker, you're just not carrying the kitchen sink.
That's just unbelievable. It's a good job you're not carrying one of them taps that gets you boiling water.
Exactly. They need a cooker with them there. But anyway, it's a spine race this weekend. I'm going to be dot watching. Good luck to anyone who's doing it. I don't think any of the LCR crowd are doing it. I don't know anyone who's doing it. It's currently it's £1,175 to enter this year, which is, I think, that's a lot of money, isn't it?
That really is. That's like the High Rocks price in 2027.
Exactly, and that's the way IROC's pricing is going for 2027. You heard it here first, folks.
I will say, looking at the route, because I do like the spine race, but I've never actually sat down and looked at the route. I didn't realize how close it got to me, even though I kind of know it should do. And I realized that in the first 30 miles, they get towards me, doxing myself a little, but I don't live a million miles away from the M62 and where the spine race intersects it. But I've got to say, Alan, that area, you've been up there, up Windy Hill. Well, you tried to get there once and got lost, but I'm sure you've been there once. And it's honestly, it's like Mordor. It isn't a nice place at the best of times. And that's day one.
Mate,
How much?
day one, they've got to go. They've got to go up Kinder Scout. The climb up Kinder Scout kills a lot of people who are just walking it. Then they've got to go over Kinderfell, and they've got to go over Black Hill. You know, I mean, we're talking two of the probably most remote is before they even get up near you. You know what I mean? Within the first 5 miles of going over it is the toughest race out there in. I mean, we're talking about bogs that can swallow you to your kneecaps in a second. I think last year, was it last year or the year before? No, it wasn't last year, it was the year before. So 2023, January 2023, there's a place just before you go up Black Hill. I think it's about 11 miles into it, I want to say. 11, 12 miles into it, and you have to cross a stream. And Yasmin Paris was crossing. No, it wasn't Yasmin Paris. It was a female competitor was crossing the stream, and she fell into the stream, and she was washed nearly 200 meters down a little stream. You know, a race was over. Her kit was completely wet and everything else. This can happen to any of these races. I think, was it John Kelly hurt his ankle several years ago, 2020, within the first 50 mile, and tried to continue and eventually made it, but, you know, struggled all the way. This is for me, and this is probably the toughest ultra race that I know of. People talk about Marathon des Sables. I get that. 5 marathons, 5 days. That's tough in that heat. You know, this is the opposite end of that scale. You know, this is 268 miles. So this is 10 marathons in the fastest time you can do it in winter conditions.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And bear in mind, Alan, that you can't enter this race because you refuse to cross that bridge on the M62.
That is, you're quite right. I couldn't do it. I'd have to make a detour because when I fought the Pennine Way, so I've done the Pennine Way 3 times, and every time I will not cross that bridge. That bridge frightens me, Ian. I know it's only 50, 60 meters high, you know, but it's like, it frightens me.
I really like that bridge, by the way. Maybe it's because how desolate it is on the other side, so I make it stretch out as long as possible. But again, knowing the area, it is a tremendous detour that you're going to have to take to avoid that bridge.
I think the way you went before, you go down in the valley to the reservoir, because there's a depending on which way you're going. So if you're going up the Pennine Way, where they're going, you go right into the reservoir, and then you can go underneath it, and then you come back up to the other side. But you're going down and back up. You know what I mean? It's quite a steep down and up, and I would say about 2 miles extra.
It's about 2-3 miles detour, and it can get really boggy down there. Again, I know the area, so yeah. Personally, I think you're mad and you need to get over your fear. Is it the fact that if you look to the left, you can see that red rose, and it's just so much envy because you can see that red rose and you're so close to Lancashire, but you're just too far away?
That's probably what it is. You know, I've actually learned now. I think if I went now, I could probably do it because I hate bridges. Anyone who knows who's ever ran with me and we know it goes, and it's only motorway bridges that I really hate. So if I can actually go over a footpath bridge over a motorway, I hate every second of it. But I've done quite a few now, but I haven't done one that high. And my secret is I just put my head down. Well, I make sure there's no one crossing first, and I put my head down and go as fast as I can across it, just looking at the pavement in front of me. Because I go all dizzy. The moment I look left or right, I start to go dizzy.
How'd you get the lorry drivers to sound the horns?
No, we don't want none of that malarkey.
Oh gosh, should we move on? Unless you got anything else about spine race,
No, but just good luck to everyone who's doing it, and hopefully I might go up and get some footage for us.
other than Motorway Bridge.
Not the motorway bridge, no.
Right, can we chat about? Let's go back from experienced racers. We've just covered a couple. Let's go back to inexperienced racers. I put this on the pub, didn't I? Dumb Runner's post. It wasn't a post by Dumb Runner. It was a post by someone else that Dumb Runner had shared and said that no matter what they do, and they're getting paid for putting dumb posts up, they could never put a post as dumb as this one. Do you want to tell people what the post said?
So the post says running a marathon successfully is 0.5% training, 0.5% diet, and 99% determination. Go for it, you athletes. No,
How dangerous is this meme?
it really is. I don't know. It's something called Run for Life. I don't know what they're trying to get out of it, but running a marathon is not to 99% determination. Probably walking 26 miles is 99% determination, but we're talking about actually running a marathon. You can't do it on 0.5% training. You've got to have a training plan to get to a marathon distance. You can't just get off your couch tomorrow and say, I'm going to go and run. And that's what this post is looking at. I mean, 0.5% diet. So what we're saying is that someone who weighs 30 stone, who doesn't run, yeah, so 0.5% train, 0.5% diet, 30 stone, no training whatsoever, are going to get off their couch after eating their takeaway, watching Coronation Street EastEnders binge watch for last 6 years, are just going to think, right, I can do a marathon and go and do it. In my eyes, Ian, not possible. As you know, I was quite big. I think at my biggest I was about 23 stone, I think, at one time. And when I started running, and I'd run previous to that, but I let myself go, 23 stone, I was determined to go running. How far did I get? One lamppost. You can't just go from doing nothing to running a marathon. And that's how dangerous this is.
I agree. And I'm not saying you could not travel 26.2 miles tomorrow. If you wanted to, you could probably do the spine race tomorrow. It would take you 3 to 4 weeks, but you could cover the distance and it would hurt a lot. But why would you want to? It's not really an achievement for a human to walk a great distance. That's what we kind of built for. The achievement in a marathon, even if you're not running it all, that's fine. And it is an achievement to walk a marathon and survive walking a marathon. Do your training so you can walk a marathon and survive and do it in a nice time because you're power walking. But the point of a marathon is to at least run some of it.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the notes, on Dumb Runner, the notes on there say it all. I mean, one of them is, while determination matters, it's determination to do the training and to have a proper diet. That's where the determination comes in, not just to go and do the right. It's completely wrong, Ian.
It is, and it's unfortunately one of them posts that will be shared by people who, again, try not to be a gatekeeper, who just don't understand running. And I'm going to go back to my favorite saying, Alan, or one of my favorite sayings, because I have lots of favorite sayings. One of my favorite sayings is the more I learn, the less I know. And that goes for running more than anything else, to be fair, because the more I learn about running, the more I realize I know very little about running. I don't know about diet. I don't know about training properly, but I know enough to know I'm not stupid enough to not train and then try and do a race. Honestly, a park run, if you're trying to run it with no training, is probably a little bit dangerous because you're going to hurt. You're not going to tear something. Well, you might do, but you're not going to really injure yourself doing a park run with no training. But I think even park runs, in a way, are not the best way to start. I always recommend Couch to 5K.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, Ian. Couch to 5K. So 5K is a park run. Couch to 5K is to get you to run a park run. So, and there's a plan to do that. Some couch to 5Ks are 6 weeks long. Some couch to 5Ks are 12 weeks long. I think I've even seen a 20-week long one. Depends on what level of fitness you are, how big you are, because if you're carrying a lot of weight, it does make a big difference. That power to weight ratio, and I've said that. And there's nothing wrong with being. I'm still big. I'm nearly 17 stone still. So I'm not dissing anyone like that. But you've got to have a fitness level. You've got to have a fitness level, and you can't just go out and just do. You can't go out and do it. I think it must have took me. I think it took me about 6 weeks to get to 5K distance.
It's probably quite fast in terms of where you were and where you got to. I can't remember how long it took me when I was doing Coach to 5K. I've started it many times, still never finished it. I usually get to about week 7 and get bored, but it's such a useful tool. And again, going back to that experience thing, if anyone's listening to this because it's January and you're thinking of getting on a fitness bug, first, welcome. Good luck in your journey, but try to know where you are. And if you're coming back to fitness, don't be upset about losing previous fitness. So we mentioned earlier that on Wednesday, I was doing treadmill running when I finally got a treadmill.
Yeah.
I was doing intervals, which the idea was, it was pyramid. I love pyramids, Alan. Do you like pyramids when it comes to training?
Is that the ones where you go up and then you come back down? Is that the pyramid?
Yeah, so 1 minute hard, 30 seconds easy, 2 minutes hard, 1 minute easy, all the way up to 5 minutes and then back down the other way. I love that. But because I was on a treadmill, I could actually set my speed, and I set my speed at 6 minute kilometers. Back in the day, that was relatively slow for me. But because I've let my running lapse for like 2 years, ever since COVID, that was really hard and probably right on the edge of where I am. So if you are returning to fitness, don't think you'll still have the same fitness that you did 5, 6 years ago.
And that's a really valid point, because, like I said, when I first started running again, I came from a football background where I was right up there. I was playing high level football. I could easily run long distances, and then I got involved with drinking and being a lazy git. I'll just say, for nearly 8 years. And then when I finally decided to start running again, I was shocked that I couldn't get to a lamppost. I knew I was bigger, but I thought I would have got further than a lamppost. I might have thought I might have got half a mile or something. You've got to start somewhere. And even now, we all get setbacks now. I know as I'm getting older, I can't go out and run 7-minute miles anymore. I'm running 9-minute miles now, and that's a good pace for me, a 9-minute mile. I can probably run a bit quicker, but we've all got a level where we're going to be at. Accept that level, try and get better, but don't be frightened if it's small steps.
I think one of the best lessons, I've only recently learned this, one of the best lessons I ever got told when it came to running is that, compare it to weightlifting. You would not go into the gym and try and bench press 200 pounds.
No, you wouldn't.
So why are you, when it comes to running, going out there trying to sprint your 5K?
Yeah. Unless you're a top quality athlete, you won't be going to. Even the top quality athlete don't sprint 5Ks, do
they? They don't. They don't. Oh, let's talk about how you can get a free Spartan race, but only in the USA and Canada.
This is. Oh, I saw this. Spartan race have removed prize money from regular season races a couple of years ago, but now they're going to give free entry as long as you've been viewed as seemingly meaningfully. What, you've got a podium? Is that what it's saying?
If you get a podium, you get a free race, and you know what? At least it's something. At the moment, it's only being announced for Spartan Race USA and Canada. Fingers crossed they roll it out to the UK, because races are expensive, and if you win, I think it's kind of nice to give you a free race, because it's like giving you your entry back.
And this is elite races as well. So this is only for elite races. This is not for age group. I've got to admit, I didn't do my own work on this and didn't read it all, but now I have done. So while you were talking, I've read it all. I like it. I like the fact that there are top 3 men, top 3 women in the elite races. It might encourage some of the athletes in AG, who we know they're in AG and the podium on a regular basis, but they can run elite and they can maybe come 3rd and they can maybe come 4th or 5th, but they stay in AG, so they win AG. it'd be interesting to see some of them athletes step up to elite, because that's what we've encouraged all along. Yeah. And we want the athletes. Bring it to the UK, bring it to Europe. Spartan, listening. Matt, I know you listen to this podcast. Bring it.
I think it's a great idea. Well done to Spartan. I know sometimes we give them a kick in, but we also give them their flowers when we deserve it. I think this is a great idea. Please roll it out. And that kind of brings up another point, doesn't it, about how big OCR now is in the UK? Because it's no secret, it's not as big as it was in 2015. That's the thing, Alan. 10 years ago, OCR was massive. We're 10 years later, and yes, there's still a lot of people who do it, but it just doesn't have the same hype that it used to.
It doesn't have the same hype in terms of, we don't have as many race companies out there, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, because we had a lot of race companies came in, say they were going to put races on, not put races on and run off. Then we had pre-COVID, we had a few big races cancel and run off with money. And then we had COVID where people ran off with money. So it left a lot of a bad taste in a lot of people's throats. And the OCR community, although it's still big, a lot of it people don't do as many OCRs as they used to. I'm included in this, Ian. So I've gone through this, and I'll openly say this. Back in 2014, 2015, I was OCRing every week without fail, but I could pick up an OCR for 30 quid. I could go to an OCR event for 30 quid, but I was traveling the country doing them as much as I possibly could. As I've progressed, I guess, in my running, COVID hit, and I moved a little bit into the ultra side of things, and I found other types of running. I'm still heavily involved in OCRs. I still do quite a few OCRs, but I'm limiting them, I guess, to maybe one a month now. So I'm doing 10 or 12 a year as opposed to doing 40 a year. And because if a lot of people are doing that, then event companies are not making money. Event companies are not making money. They're closed. So now we're left with a really tight knit. And I would guess around about 25, maybe 30 race companies out there who are putting races on. But the big thing for me is the community spirit that's there now. So back in 2014, 2015, although I might have had in the UK OCR Facebook group, so we'll use that as an example, because that's what I've always been involved in. We had about 9,000 members. And out of them 9,000 members, we might have had 1,000 keyboard warriors that will constantly diss something or diss anything. And if we just take, for instance, this weekend, McTuff being cancelled, there would have been posts galore about it being cancelled and how rubbish it was and X, Y, and Z and how peeved off they were. McTuff gets cancelled now, and we're left with hardcore OCR athletes that say, hey, this is the right decision. We put our podcast out Monday. I've had several people contact me and say, great podcast, absolutely brilliant. We agree with everything you said on there. Right decision, health and safety. And it's great to have that community now, Ian, which we've had, but it's been overshadowed by some of the negative people.
I couldn't agree more, Alan. And listeners know that I've been a little absent when it comes to obstacle races in the last couple of years. I've attended them, and maybe one day I'll race another one. The last one I think I did probably got cancelled. That's just my luck. But the people within the OCR community, it is like we've kept the best ones, and the people who seem to be joining, because we're still getting new people in the OCR community, they are almost joining for I think the right reasons is a bit cliche in that, but they're good people. Again, trying not to be a gatekeeper. If you're a Muppet and want to do an OCR, fair enough. Just go and be a Muppet anywhere away from me, please. But the people who we're seeing, and what I am really seeing is the youth movement, which we never, ever had when OCR was big. We are seeing lots of people move into OCR while we're young. They go and they'll do like the 100-meter course. I loved watching that 100-meter course, Alan. I know you enjoyed it even more than I did.
It was brilliant. It was great to see the youngsters doing it, and you're right. Grassroots is coming through, and I think this is because people of an age who got into OCR 10, 15 years ago, who were still into it, and still part of that community. They got kids, so they're bringing their kids into it. And we're seeing, I mean, we talk about Morgan Maxwell being the very first homegrown talent as such that grew as a kid and came into it and doing really, really well. We've seen a lot of youngsters now doing that. Finley, Libby are championing them youngsters as well. That people are seeing what they can do. I mean, Libby's going out to she's going abroad this weekend. She's been invited to race. I think the Metal Games. I think they call it the Metal Games. She's been invited to run the elite level of Metal Games. But when have we had athletes of such a young age be invited to big events like that?
I honestly can't recall athlete. I know I certainly wasn't, Alan. I know I'm a couple of years older than Libby now, as we established last week on the podcast. But yeah, it is fantastic to see the level almost of professionalism when it comes to OCR races now. Because you have said, yeah, we've lost some, but if I go to most OCR races now, they really do feel professional. I know, yes, we're still running around a muddy field and clambering over walls, but the organisation tends to be second to none. Back in the day, you'd only get that perhaps out of a Tough Mudder. I was going to say or a Spartan, but no, the Spartan in the UK has always been a bit rough around the edges and that. But you'd only get that from a Tough Mudder. But now, any event you go to, I'm not sure if it's because we expect more or because they've seen what works for other companies, but it's just fantastic. And again, support your grassroots where you can, be that athletes, be that races.
Without a doubt. I think one of the big things for me that I've seen, one of the reasons why OCR might have declined, and this is just a slight opinion, is because now we haven't got as many racers out there. We don't see as many photos on social media of them. And the ones you do have to pay for some of them. So, if you go to, I don't know, Total Warrior, you have to pay for Total Warrior photos. Where years ago you could go to Ram Run and get Ram Run photos free. So everyone used to, every time there was a Ram Run and there was 4 a year, you get loads of photos put on social media. And we don't share, I've got to admit, I don't share anywhere near as many photos now of me doing an OCR as what I used to. Maybe I need to start doing that. Share them photos.
And obviously, see that with Hyrox. You see people sharing their Hyrox pictures. Although saying that, that is not, I'm not going to say it's dying down because it's not, but people who have been to Hyrox multiple times, our good friend Graham Wells mentions this a lot, doesn't he? That basically with Hyrox, you get 4 photos.
Yeah.
And they could be anywhere. You get yourself on the rower, yourself on the skier, sled, wall ball, and if you're lucky, you'll trigger the camera for the farmer's carry. And that's pretty much it. You may occasionally get a lunge picture, but they all look the same. So I do think that when it comes to Hyrox, eventually, I don't think you're going to see as many pictures because people are not going to be buying them.
Yeah, and that's exactly why they need to stop selling picture packages and let people have them for free, because that is a great way of promoting an event. Nuclear racers have never charged for their photos that I can remember, and look how good their photos are. And whenever they have a race, they get shared everywhere. You know what I mean? That's the future.
Yeah, and we've carried that over with Nuclear Fit as well, which some fantastic photos there. And Deadly Dozen gives free photos. And again, it might just be my feed, so this is anecdotal, but I do see after a Deadly Dozen race a lot more Deadly Dozen photos than I perhaps see after a Hyrox. Again, it may just be based on who I follow, etc. But even so, that's remarkable when you consider that Deadly Dozen caps their number of athletes at 500, and Hyrox could have that over the course of an hour.
If you're giving free photos away and people have done something that they think that's challenged them, they'll publish it and they'll share it, and that's what it's all about. I know Overload and Farmyard Jam photos that we give away free, they get shared all over. People take them off social media, and I see them. I still see them advertised to people sharing them now. It's great to see.
Right, Alan, looking at the notes and also looking at the clock, the bottom 2 I'm going to highlight, and let's pick them up on next week because they're kind of timeless, so we can chat about them. But let's just talk two things. Night running nuclear races. What's that?
So Provis jackets, if anyone knows, because like running in the night time, Provis jackets are one of the best jackets to run at night time. So they shine up really, really bright. Literally, a headlight touches them and it becomes completely fluorescent. Well, nuclear racers have now got them back in stock. So Provis jackets, I think they're £89 if I remember rightly, which is no more than what you can get anyway. So it's the right price, but they've got nuclear racers written on them. I know people love nuclear racers, so I thought get them on there. Yeah, nuclear racers, absolutely brilliant. If you want to send me one, I haven't got one. Hint, hint, nod, nod, chink, chink. Well, I'm only joking there, guys.
Right. Well, whilst Alan tries to
Black.
use a marketing technique to get freebies, I'm going to move on to the final topic, which is races signed up for this year. Was that you asking me, Alan, or was that you wanting to boast about what you're signed up for?
No, I saw a post in the group, the UK OCR group, and it was like, what races have you signed up for this year? And it leads a little bit onto what we're talking about the community and that. What races have people signed up for? So, and I was interested in what have you signed up for this year?
Thus far, very little. I've got an Oldham rugby season pass, and I'm doing High Rocks in Manchester, High Rocks in Glasgow, and yeah, that's pretty much all I've signed up for. I'm probably the reason why so many races are going to a wall because I'm not buying early enough.
I don't think it's not buying early enough. I think if people are watching the funds, they tend to buy early enough, but they plan them. So I mean, I'm signed up for 4 at this moment in time, 4 OCRs. I've signed up for another race as well, another ultra, but I've signed up for 4 OCRs at this moment in time. It's probably the only 4 I'm going to probably do that I'm planning on. Nuts, Winter, Nuclear Oblivion, World's Toughest Mudder. Oh, and I'm actually going to do a lap of Overload as a runner, Ian. That's the plan.
You're going to do a lap of Overlord or Farmyard Jam?
Yeah, I'm not sure which, but yeah. So I normally run it before the actual event day, but I'm actually going to do a lap. Me and Jamie have both said we're going to do a lap at some point.
Does that mean I can come and do RDing then? If you go first, I'll be the RD and set everyone off.
You can do the RD and set everyone off, yeah. Which, if that's what you want to do, and I'll give you that job. Don't forget, you've got to also check them in as well on the system that we have to check athletes in.
That's fine. They can just rule themselves. It's all right. They'll be honest. It's fine. No one cares. It'll be fine. I presume as well, Alan, that you could, due to mutilating your body back in the day, you could just do random Tough Mudders when you felt like it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have got the Tough Mudder season pass, so the plan is to try and get 1 or 2 of them in. I'm gutted that I can't do the toughest because the Holy Grail would have been great for this year. It was probably the only chance I would have probably got the Holy Grail. But obviously I can't do it because I'm away in May, so I can't do the toughest version of it. But yeah, I might go to Tough Mudder Yorkshire. Not 100% convinced whether I'm going up there yet, but yeah, I'll probably do Tough Mudder Yorkshire if any. Go up for a weekend. I might even try and throw a Spartan in this year. I haven't done a Spartan for a while, so it'd be interesting to do a Spartan, especially as I feel like I'm running well. So I feel like I'm running probably the best I've ran for quite a while.
Are there still burpees in Spartan or have they done away with them?
Optional burpees now, I believe, for spear throw. Well, for age group and whatever you want to do.
Perfect. Maybe this year is the year I finally do a Spartan. Who knows?
If you do a Spartan, Ian, we'll do one together, but you've got to do burpees. No, and then I want to do a deadly dozen. We've talked about that. I want to do a deadly dozen this year, but it's got to be after WTM because I can't get injured before WTM.
No, I think there's a few later on in the year that you'll be able to do. Sadly, I think one of them, which would be really cool, might clash with Farmyard Jam. When's Farmyard Jam again this year?
August 23rd, I want to say.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah. So that weekend, or I might not end up going RDing Farmyard Jam because yeah, that weekend, Deadly Dozen is down at the Birmingham Commonwealth Games Stadium and doing a massive event down there.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool. So you can go there first for the daytime, then you can go to the Overload for the evening, Farmyard Jam, and set them off in the evening.
And sure, yeah. Yeah, I'll look into that because it's not a million miles away, is it? No. Birmingham to... Where are you again?
It's in Derby. It's only 7 miles outside Derby town. In fact, it's 7 miles outside Derby town centre.
I'll figure it out. I don't know. I know how to get there, but honestly, you could tell me it was Tokyo, I'd believe you. I can drive down there. I've just no idea. It's a random farmer's field surrounded by nothing.
You're quite right, surrounded by nothing. There is nothing there. Beautiful night skies, though. You can see the stars at night, which I think the other year, Linda Johnson, while she was running, she actually came back and said she'd seen was it the Elon Musk satellites that are in the sky, the 7 satellites that orbit the Earth?
I believe so. Yeah. Could she see him?
She could see them, yeah. There was that dark, the dark skies, because there's no light pollution. You could actually see them going overhead.
Oh, wow. So, listener, that is another reason why you should pick up a Farmyard Jam ticket. Unfortunately, the price has now gone up. So we do apologise if you didn't listen last week because you could have got a sneaky discount, but oh well.
Yeah, you're paying £5 more now. Breaking the bank in. We're breaking the bank with the price rises.
Yeah, £45. Yeah, or I think 1/4 of the price of a similar race, Indoor 24.
That's it. Yeah, quote price. Ian, I think that's about it.
I think it is. Like I say, there was a couple of timeless topics which were on the notes that we didn't get to, which we'll cover next week. But Alan, I will say it's goodbye from me.
And listeners, once again, thank you for listening. Don't forget to hit that Patreon button and join us for Patreons. There's some prizes coming out, more posts coming out this week. In the meantime, you take care, you stay safe, and you keep on running, and we'll speak to you all soon. Bye.